Hi, I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. Have you ever seen somebody in the dressing room who's flashing all their money around? Or somebody that likes to walk about complaining about exactly what they got paid? That's amateur hour. Today, you and I are going to go over some tips so that you can handle your money like a pro. Something important you need to consider before you even get to the event. Have you talked about the money? You probably need to talk about the money, because at the event itself, there's going to be a million other things going on, and chances are top priority just won't be you. So get all of your negotiating and all of that settled beforehand. Whether you're coming in for $1,000 or you're coming in for no dollars, you need to know what the deal is before you show up to work. In my experience, most of the time, people get paid after the event is finished. It doesn't happen beforehand necessarily. It doesn't happen in the middle when everybody's running around like a chicken with their head cut off. All of that type of stuff waits until the end. In some cases, you'll end up waiting till the end because the people in charge are using the money that comes in at the gate to make sure everybody gets their guarantee. So when everything is over, maybe you need to pay attention. Is a line forming? Does there seem to be somebody that's handling the pay at the end of the night? And this important note, are you being reimbursed for your travel? In the course of a career, you're going to work places that don't reimburse. They do reimburse. They reimburse in part. Every variety under the sun. And you got to know what's what before you show up, because you may need to hang on to all your receipts. If transportation is part of the overall equation, make sure you got those receipts ready when you jump in line, because when you get up front to talk to the person that's got the money, you want to make sure you put them front and center. Then, if you've negotiated and agreed upon a rate, and the person you're working for is good to their word, you may get an envelope that's got your name on it. But here is exactly where a lot of people go wrong, and I want to make sure that you are always handling your money like a pro. Once I've got my fat little envelope with my name on it, the first thing I always do is go somewhere private, even if that means into a public restroom stall. And that's where I check to see, is the money correct? Did I actually get what I was guaranteed? I did. So why is it important that you check what's in the envelope? Because if there's any discrepancies, somebody miscounted something, maybe they forgot to put anything in the envelope at all, you want to make sure that all gets resolved before you walk out the door, get in your car, and start heading home. Anytime there is any kind of discrepancy, it's always best to settle it on the spot. Just head right back to the person that handed you the envelope and explain in as diplomatic terms as possible exactly what's wrong. If I open up that envelope and I thought there'd be $100 inside, but once I get in there I find out there's only $50 inside, something's got to be settled. In my experience, the first thing that I do is look back at the conversation that I had with whoever's in charge of the budget. That might be a text message, an email, or some other kind of messaging form, just to make sure, am I remembering that right? But let's say you did remember it right, and what's in the envelope is incorrect. There's nothing wrong, as long as you're polite and diplomatic about it, about walking right back up to that person and explaining to them that there is a discrepancy. So, how do you navigate that situation without resorting to fisticuffs? Well, you might say something like this. Excuse me, I just opened up my envelope and we'd agreed upon $100. I went back to check our text messages just to make sure that I was remembering it correctly, and I did. Unfortunately, the envelope only had $50 in it. This is a straightforward method of addressing the issue at hand. And of course, have that correspondence handy. Be willing to show them. Here's that text message. Here's that email. Here's that DM where we agreed upon the price. And anybody who's doing that job honestly will rectify it for you on the spot. In my experience, the overwhelming majority of incidents where that has happened, it's just been a simple mistake. I make those mistakes too. It's very common. So don't feel intimidated to go up and have a discussion about your money. Two things I want to caution you to never do, and a pro will never handle their money like this. They don't walk into the center of the locker room, open up their envelope, and start counting out their money in front of everybody else. That's an amateur move. It is nobody else's business what you get paid, and similarly, it's not your business what anybody else is getting paid. You may not know what their arrangement is. I'll give you an interesting example. Maybe this person is working to pay off their tuition at the training facility. Maybe that person is working to pay off their brand new gear. And one last tip so that you are always handling your money like a pro. A real professional never walks around bragging about how much money they make as their guarantee. For one thing, it's not very classy. For another thing, it's not very professional. And like I said before, the truth is, it's nobody's business but yours. Whether you're making millions as a headline performer or you're still in your apprentice stage, just out there paying your dues, one way or another, eventually money's probably coming your way. And hopefully when it does, you're going to handle it like a pro.